Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Fresh from Maryland Snap Ed. So it is a gorgeous day here in Central Maryland. I hope it's beautiful where you are, kind of atypical for Maryland August weather, not muggy at all. So I hope you get some time to enjoy that today. But in the meantime, let's enjoy talking about fresh and local fruits and vegetables. So each week we talk about a particular produce item that's in season, how to shop for it, how to select it, store it, and prepare it. As always, if you're joining us, please feel free. We'd love for you to introduce yourself in the comments with where you're joining us from. So if you're in Maryland, with your county, if you are from further afield, your city and state. And we will respond to questions and comments as they come up throughout the program. So we're going to go ahead and get started. We are joined today by Michelle Feng, who is one of our nutrition educators in Montgomery County, Maryland. So welcome, Michelle. Pop in here.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing great. And our tradition here on Fresh from Maryland is to get started with a farmer's market shout out. So can you share with our audience a farmer's market in Montgomery County that you would like to highlight?
Absolutely. I'd love to shout out Durwood Farmers Market. It's located on Redland Road in Rockville, Maryland. This market is open from April to September 4th on Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. And what's great about this market, it accepts SNAP, WIC, FMNP benefits, and it also offers a matching program of up to $30 for those benefits.
That's so great. We love that folks can spend their benefits at markets. So if you have SNAP, that includes if you have your regular EBT card, or if you've received PEBT, you can spend at that market, or WIC checks. We will post a link to the 2021 Maryland Farmers Market Directory, which has a pretty comprehensive list of all the markets in Maryland. We do encourage everyone to confirm that information before they visit the market, just to make sure none of the details have changed. So welcome. Shirley's joined us, Tina's joined us. Welcome, welcome. We are going to then go ahead, get started with our produce item of the week. So we're talking about melons today. So we'll talk a lot about watermelon, but we're also going to talk a little bit about other types of melons that you might find at the farmer's market. This is one of my very picky son's favorite fruits. So let's talk about melons.
Awesome. So today we're going to talk mainly about watermelon. That is our featured fruit of the day. I'm going to go ahead and turn my video on so that you guys can see this lovely melon that I have in front of me. Here we go.
Well, we said yesterday that you have some very giant fruits joining you for this, so we can see a little bit of it, but yet.
Yeah, I'm having a little trouble with my camera here. My video has been disabled. Okay, is that working?
Not quite yet.
Not quite. Okay, let me try and log back in really quick.
Okay, no problem. In the meantime, welcome, Ivy.
If you want to show some of the facts, and I'll go ahead and do that and see if that works. Okay.
Sure, and I can talk through some of those. So yeah, here's some information about melons. So melons are in season in Maryland from July through September. So if you have been at the farmer's market, you've probably been seeing melons for the last couple of weeks. The most common types that we see in Maryland are watermelon, cantaloupe, and honeydew. There's one that I just learned about called canary melons. They're bright yellow on the outside and light green on the inside. And when we're talking about watermelons specifically, there's a couple different categories that they can fall in. And Michelle, your camera is on. It has gone back to portrait. I don't know if you're able to tinker with that, and I can keep talking melons. But you can find melons that either have seeds or they're seedless. You'll also can find ones that are those big sort of like, a whole family would be challenged to eat ones. And Michelle actually taught me yesterday, I wasn't aware of this. Those are sometimes called picnic melons, but the ones that are smaller sort of like basketball, volleyball size or smaller are called icebox melons, box melons. And then, but the flesh also comes in different colors. So red, yellow, or orange. So, all right, looks like you are in action there with that. So, I shared a little bit of information about melons with our guests. What else would you like to tell us? Maybe about selecting a great melon?
Yes, thank you for your patience, everyone. So watermelon is also really good because it has citrulline and lycopene that gives it that bright color. It has vitamin A and vitamin C, and it's really good to help us lower blood pressure and might help reduce some risk of cancer. So this is a wonderful fruit. When you're looking for a watermelon, you want to make sure that it has a nice bright green color. And on the underbelly, look for a creamy yellow spot. This is called a field spot. And this is important because it says that, the melon has been ripening on the vine in the field. So this is something, to look for when you're looking for a melon. And then on the stem side, you want to make sure that you don't have a green stem because that indicates that it was picked early on. You want something that's a little more on the brown side. So it shows that it's been ripening on the vine as well. What I like to do also is just make sure to hold your watermelon, hold a few of them and kind of check their weight. It should be heavy for its size. And that watermelons are 90% water. So, the heavier, the better. What we do in our family is I do a little tap test. That's also a good one too. But, sometimes that's a hit or miss. I've had pretty good luck with this one. I usually tap it. And if there's a hollow sound, indicates that, there's a lot of water in that melon. And that's a good pick.
Great. Well, thanks for sharing that. Anything you want to mention about, sort of preparing melons once you have a wonderful one at home?
Yeah, absolutely. So, before you cook or prepare any foods, wash your hands and then also wash your produce thoroughly with some warm water. If your melon has a little bit of additional dirt on it, you can use a veggie brush to get that off. In terms of, cutting and preparing, I just go straight down the middle and, there's different ways of cutting it. So you can cut it by taking the sides off, or you can lay it flat side down and cut it into slices, and then also maybe rotate it so that you can cut again to get those watermelon sticks, which is great. And I can show you guys in a little moment of how I'm gonna do that.
Great. Yeah. So that's a great jumping off point for our recipe. So what are you we're actually going to do 2 recipes today. What are you going to make for us today?
Awesome. So our first recipe is our fruit salad with jicama. And this is great because, it gives a little fun to the traditional fruit salad, great for cookouts, a healthy dessert. And the ingredients for this recipe is 2 cups of watermelon. I'll show you how to cut this in just a moment. We'll need a fresh and ripe papaya. Also, a fresh and ripe mango. 1 kiwi. A small to medium jicama. And this one here is a little bit bigger, so I went ahead and cut it in half and talk a little bit more about that in a few minutes. We'll also need a 1/4 teaspoon of salt and a 1/4 teaspoon of chili powder. And so here I've just combined both of them, make it look easier. And then a juice of 1 lime, which I have here, ready to go. Okay, so let's start with the watermelon. So I've gone ahead, washed my hands, and already washed my melon. So I'm gonna go ahead and give it a cut. When you do this, it's good to have a sharp knife. I find that it's much easier and also safer too. So I'm just going to go right down the middle.
And so, folks might think, oh, a sharp knife is more dangerous, but what happens if you have a dull knife is that you end up putting a lot more pressure on that knife. And then if it should slip, you'd be more likely to injure yourself. So a sharp knife used safely is a good bet.
Yes, this is a beautiful watermelon. I got this at the farmer's market. So this was supposed to be a seedless, but it looks like there's a few seeds in here. So that's okay. We'll work with that. What you want to do is just flip your watermelon over once you have it in half, and then put the flat side down and go ahead and slice it.
So that way it's not going to wobble around with you. That first cut is always the hardest.
Right. So I do about like half an inch, or you can do a little bit less. It depends on how large you like your watermelon slices to be.
While you're doing that, just want to welcome Viviana, who's joining us as well. Jessica commented that she will sometimes just take a small watermelon and cut it in half and eat it with a spoon because it almost makes its own bowl. Something else we talk to our students about in our nutrition education lessons is fruits and vegetables as sources of water. So watermelon obviously has a lot of water in it. So, it's a great way to stay hydrated in addition to just drinking water.
Yes, and it's very, very refreshing. So I'm just going to take a few slices from the middle here and then go ahead and just slice it. I mean, you can really cut it any way you like. You can slice it and then remove the rind and then do it that way. I find that this is pretty fun and easy because whatever I don't use, I go ahead and just refrigerate these individual pieces, and then it's great grab and go.
I think those sticks, I never I always cut mine into wedges, but I think those sticks are probably really easy to eat, and then they're easy then to cut that little piece of rind off of. I love that. I'm going to start cutting mine that way.
Yeah, and what's great is watermelon, you can use the whole melon, right, for different purposes. You eat the flesh, you can make juice, smoothies with it, but also you can eat the rind too. So some folks stir fry it, others can pickle it, and it's really nice. And then, if you end up scooping out the flesh of the watermelon, you can use this whole thing as a vessel to store your fruit salad in.
Yeah, it's very pretty.
Yeah, it's a great presentation too. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and cut a few more pieces here. Get some things out of the way. Go ahead and add that. That's about right. All right.
Tina comments, and Terry as well, that they do this. They cut theirs into sticks. Tina says her kids call them watermelon fries.
Yes, and then also, I forgot to mention, the seeds, if you have some with seeds, you can actually roast them and eat them.
So that's interesting.
Yeah, a good source of protein there. Okay, so now that we have our 2 cups of watermelon, I'm going to go ahead and move on to our mango. Okay, so here we have this beautiful tropical mango. What you're looking for is something that's firm but has a little bit of give to it. And when it becomes ripe, it's a little bit fragrant. So that's great. And there's a few different ways that you can go about cutting this. You can go ahead and first peel it with a vegetable peeler if it's firm enough, or a knife. And then you can go ahead and cut the cheeks. There's like 4 sides because there's a huge pit in the middle. So you want to kind of cut around the pit. I'm going to actually do a different way this time. I'm going to just cut the bottom off to give some stability here. And then cut the cheek off. So that's my first cheek. And here's my second cheek.
I love the visual of calling those cheeks.
They're really cute. And I can just cut the sides off like so. Run my knife right around the pit. Now, when you do this, there's a lot of meat still around the pit. So you kind of want to just take your knife and go around it, because that's a lot of extra pieces of mango. I call that the chef tasting. Put that aside.
Yeah. And when I was a kid, I used to just kind of take when my mom was cutting a mango, which wasn't that often. We didn't have them that often when I was a kid, but the few times I did, I remember chewing that off the pit, because the flesh does really stick to the pit pretty well, but that's kind of a treat to chew it off the pit.
Absolutely. And then you can go ahead and just make like grid-like cuts on the cheeks, and then you can just flip it over. And then it will have these beautiful little chunks. And you can go ahead and remove it with your finger or use a knife. That's one way of doing it. And I'm going to show you quickly the other way. So here I have a pre-peeled mango. And I will just do the same thing, is just to cut the cheeks off, go around the pit. This one seems to have a little bit of a larger pit. And then I will go ahead and cut these in small chunks.
Now this is a tropical fruit salad. There's lots of, aside from the watermelon, these are all tropical fruits, but if you wanted to keep it local, I think peaches are kind of interchangeable with mangoes in this. So you could use those. It's a similar color and a little bit of a different flavor, but I think they certainly can be swapped.
Absolutely. Okay, next we have papaya. And papaya is a beautiful fruit. What you're looking for is a yellow one because the green ones are used more so in savory dishes. So here I just went ahead and cut this in half, and then there's plenty of these little black seeds inside. So those you want to take a spoon and scoop them out, and then you would just cut this similar to your other melons, like watermelon. And so here I have some pre-cut papaya. I'm just going to go ahead and add that to my bowl.
All these different shades of yellow and orange and red are just beautiful. It's like a sunset.
Yeah, it's really beautiful to look at, and it's great for if you have parties, that sort of thing. And next I have here a kiwi fruit. Kiwi comes in, I think, at least 2 different colors that I've seen, the golden ones, and then here we have a green one with lots of little seeds inside, and they have a furry little skin. So you just want to peel the skin off and then go ahead and cut them in small pieces. So I'm going to add this to my fruit bowl. And kiwi's great because it's really high in vitamin C. So that's a good boost for our immune system. And then lastly, here we have the jicama. So jicama is really neat. It reminds me of like a brown beet. So it looks like this. This one's quite big. It's great because the texture, it's a little sweet. The texture resembles like a water chestnut or maybe like a crunchy pear. And you can add this to any salads. It's commonly eaten raw, but you can also stir fry them. So that was the first time I've ever had jicama, was in a stir fry. So I have half a jicama here. Go ahead and use my vegetable peeler and just peel the outside skin off. As you can see, it's not too hard to peel, and it's quite firm, so that's good.
Yeah, and this is a really mild flavor, and so it kind of really blends very well with whatever you're adding it to, but what it really adds is a nice crisp texture.
Right. And it's also really good by itself if you cut them in slices and dip them in nut butters. That's a good one too. The bottom part's a little bit harder, so I'm going to go ahead and finish it off with my knife. Do you eat a lot of jicama, Krista?
I'm sorry?
Do you eat a lot of jicama?
It's been a long time since I've eaten jicama, but I'm thinking I should pick some up.
Yeah, they're really good, and it goes a long way. It's a root vegetable. It's got a lot of fiber in it as well. Yeah. Okay, so I've sliced it, and now I'm going to go ahead and cut them in strips. And you can cut them as thin or as thick as you like. So here I have a little bit of a medium-sized strip here. All right, I'm going to go ahead and add that to my fruit salad. Finish this off here.
Well, I'm interested to know if any of our viewers eat jicama regularly. They might not carry it at all grocery stores. You can often find them at international markets, which is always a fun thing to do. If you have one near you, it's a great place to shop for different fruits and vegetables to try.
So now that I have all my fruit in here, I'm going to go ahead and add my lime juice. The lime juice helps brightens it up, and it just brings out a little bit of the extra sweetness in the fruit. And then our last thing to add is the chili powder and salt mixture. Now, I recommend adding this right before serving so that it doesn't draw out too much water from the fruits. But you can also leave it out if you don't care for the additional salt or chili powder. But in this recipe. It's really nice.
And this is a really small amount of salt for this large amount of fruit. It's kind of an old-fashioned thing to do. My grandmother used to add just a pinch of salt to her watermelon, and I enjoy it as well. And it's sort of the saltiness kind of enhances the flavor, but obviously we wouldn't want to add too much salt. But it really is kind of an amazing little trick what it does for bringing out the sort of complexity of the flavors. So
absolutely. And there you have it. Here's our fruit salad with jicama.
That is gorgeous. Thank you so much. And so we have one other recipe up your sleeve there after.
Yes, I'm gonna get cleaned up here really quick, but our next recipe is the watermelon pops. So I'm gonna go ahead and move some of our fruit here out of the way, and I will go ahead and show you guys the watermelon pop recipe.
That's great. So we have Jessica mentioned that she learned about jicama through Edible ABC. So Edible ABCs is one of our nutrition education curricula that SNAP-Ed delivers across the state, typically with preschool age children. And it teaches the alphabet through tasting and also physical activity aligned with those letters. And jicama is one of the foods that we have it starts with a J. We have some alternatives that we now also do juice hairs with the J, but it's always a fun one to introduce to kids. So, and we do have some of our edible ABC, actually all of our edible ABCs curricula available online. So if you check out our YouTube channel, which we'll share at the end, you can check out all the edible ABCs videos that goes through the alphabet in a series of tastings.
Okay, so here I have my ingredients for my watermelon pops. We need 3 cups of watermelon, 1 cup of blueberry, fresh if you're able to get them. If not, frozen will do. Juice of 1 lime, and a tablespoon or 2 of sugar. And this you can certainly leave out if your watermelon is really sweet, or if you just prefer not to add it, that's fine too. Okay, so first we're going to put our watermelon in a blender. Add that. I have a small blender here, so I'm gonna see how much I can fit. I might have to do them in batches, but I find that this works pretty quickly. All right.
Yep. Watermelon is truly so much water that it doesn't take much to blend it up.
Okay, and I'm gonna go ahead and add my lime juice in here, as well as a little bit of sugar. And that's really it. Put the lid back on, and then I'm just gonna blend this for a few seconds, or maybe even like a minute or so. Just see how it goes. All right. It's really that quick. So we're going to go ahead and take our watermelon mixture, and we're going to pour it into the mold. But before we do that, we're going to take a few of the blueberries, and we're going to add them to the mold. You can add as many or as few as you like. I'm going to do about 6 or 7 on each, and then pour the watermelon mixture just on top.
And this is one of those recipes that is super flexible. You could add whatever fruit you want, both for the sort of juice portion as well as the whole fruit portion. I think watermelon and mint is such a delicious combination. I could even see adding a few little bits of chopped mint leaves to this. I think strawberries would go nicely in this. So whatever you got.
Absolutely. And I think it's nice to be able to switch it up sometimes too. And you just put the top back on and set this into the freezer for about 6 hours. Sometimes it can be done a little bit before that, maybe like 3 or 4 hours. I check it. But if you don't have a popsicle mold, what you can use is, I guess, a cupcake tin. You can do it that way. Or if you have little disposable cups, you can use those as well. And then you'll just need some popsicle sticks to put on there.
Yep. And we talked yesterday, if you are using the, a muffin tin or a little cup, that you can put foil over the top and then poke your stick through in order to kind of help the stick stand up until it gets frozen. So one little trick you can try. So, all right,
Absolutely.
great.
Okay,
Well, we're gonna move. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm gonna go ahead and take this into the freezer.
Wonderful. And so while that gets started freezing, we're going to go ahead and give us we're going to take a little tour of Dicot Farms. So Dicot Farms in Waldorf, Maryland. We've got lots of details on this, but it's such a nice thing to see fruits and vegetables growing on the farm and learn a little bit about how they grow. And it really kind of is an inspiring thing to see and remind us just how fresh and wonderful these are when they make it to the farmer's market just hours after they are harvested. So we're going to pull up this video. It's about 8 minutes long, but it is a really beautiful view of so many fresh fruits and veggies that are growing right now.
Today, we have some special guests. If you can both introduce yourselves and tell us where we are today.
Hi, I'm Eric de Guzman. This is my wife.
Megan Okel.
And we are owners of Dicot Farm in Waldorf, Maryland.
So we sell at a few farmers markets. One is here in Waldorf, Maryland, where we're located. That's on Saturdays from 9 to 1 near the mall, but Google it. We also sell at the Greenbelt Farmers Market in Greenbelt, Maryland on Sundays. And we also sell a good amount through our community supported agricultural program. It's also called CSA. We also call it our veggie subscription program. And we have a few places, our markets, as well as our friends at Bowling Green Farm that are just a few miles away.
No, not Brandywine.
Bryantown. At our friends Bowling Green Farm in Bryantown. And that's a program where people can sign up in advance and get every week or every other week a supply of veggies that we're growing that week, and they can go pick that up throughout the season. Yep, so we can accept FMMP checks, quick and senior, at both markets, the Greenbelt and the Waldorf one, and then SNAP we can accept through the Greenbelt market, and they do market matching, which is awesome. You get kind of double your bucks for SNAP and sometimes for FMMP too.
So one thing we did this year is with our CSA veggie subscription, we had people donate shares basically, so you could buy a CSA share for somebody else, and then we partnered with Lifestyles of Maryland, who connected us with 10 families to receive those shares.
Excellent. That's wonderful. If anyone's ever interested in accessing our food but has cost prohibitions, they can also contact us directly. We can see if we can work something out. We have payment plans for our CSA. Again, we accept FMMPs at market, so we want to get our food into as many people's hands as possible because we think it's delicious and nutritious. Many of our customers' favorites is this little tomato. We just harvested them, but they're usually bright orange and they're super sweet. They're called Sun Gold cherry tomatoes. So these are very popular. We grow a spicy salad in the fall and spring. It doesn't grow well in the heat, so we take a break from it in the summer, but we grow a lot of it the rest of the year. And if you like a little bit of spicy food, that's really nice to have in your salad or on a sandwich.
I think my favorite is okra. The plant is just really pretty. It's related to hibiscus, so the flowers look like hibiscus flowers. They're just, I don't know.
And okra's delicious.
Okra's delicious, yeah.
And you said you had two varieties, a Crenshaw.
Yeah, so this is a Crenshaw melon. This will turn bright yellow, and the flesh inside is bright orange. It's really delicious melon. And I guess how you tell that that one is ripe is that the outside is bright yellow and there's no green on it.
And when did you plant this variety, the Crenshaw?
We wanted to plant them in early May, but we were delayed, so I just double checked and we had planted them kind of like, I think it was May 20th or so.
Okay.
Which is okay. I mean, they're in a family of plants that's really sensitive to cold, so we always want to wait until like we're sure there's not going to be a frost and it's a fairly, warm temperatures. So I think planting in May is usually a safe bet for all these summer crops. And hopefully this will be ready in a few weeks. This is the other variety. This is the cantaloupe. And the nice thing and why we like to grow cantaloupe other than them being delicious is a lot of melons, it's kind of hard to tell when they're ripe, especially watermelons. We have never figured out how to do it. That's why we don't grow them anymore, even though I love watermelons. Cantaloupes, if you ever grow them, and you just tug, it will come off like without any effort if it's ready.
The stem will break off when it's ready.
So if I'm tugging like just lightly and it's not coming off, it means it's not ready.
So if we're at the market, do you have any tricks as to how we know that it was only a gentle tug?
It depends on the variety. I think a lot of times like not being too green, but the exception would be sometimes there are like honeydews are usually pretty green on the outside, I think. So I think, with most cantaloupes, it would be probably a brighter yellowish outside. Usually you can smell, if you smell the stem end, so where the stem had been, it should smell like the fruit. It shouldn't smell too ripe and it shouldn't smell like nothing. If it smells like nothing, it probably means it's not going to taste like anything either. I think it's true of most melons.
The Crenshaw doesn't have a very strong smell, but it does taste really good.
And on behalf of all farmers, I'd like to advocate to be very gentle when you pick up melons at market, and if you're going to look at them, because if you drop them too hard back down, they may split, and then we can't sell them. So,
oh no!
It's just my advice to be gentle with produce, so it doesn't get squished. Melons are usually pretty hardy. Yeah, I wish there was one that was ready.
No, that's okay. Hey, they're ready when they're ready.
Yeah.
So the recipe that we're going to be doing is a fruit salad. So what other items maybe that you have here on the farm or just off the top of your head, what else would you put in a fruit salad with some of these melons, the cantaloupe? Oh, we've got a good one?
Yeah. But to answer your question, we actually like putting cucumbers sometimes because a sweeter cucumber would be a nice crunchy addition. We don't have any, but adding mint is always nice. Basil, I think some people will add basil. A little bit extra flavor to we do have basil, a lot of that growing.
Very fresh. Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We love any local fruit we don't grow much other than melons, but when we're at farmers market, we'll always get cherries, other berries, apples, peaches. So yeah.
Sounds delicious.
Right. Well, that was really cool. I love seeing what's growing on farms in Maryland and what that looks like. We will post links to information about Dicot Farm if you're interested in learning a little bit more about them. They have social media feeds as well. And you can find information, I'm sure, through there of what markets they sell at, which they mentioned in the video. And thanks to Jessica Conjur, who's one of our SNAP Ed educators and a frequent flyer on Fresh from Maryland, for doing that interview and sharing that with us. So Michelle, let's check out the finished version of those watermelon pops.
Okay.
Or how you take those out of the mold. What's going on there?
So I would just dip this in a little warm bath for maybe a few seconds, and then it should loosen up. There we go.
Oh, that looks so tempting and delicious. My kids would go crazy for that. So Great. And that's another thing that you can do if you just have a small, because we talked on one of our berry episodes that berries can be a little on the expensive side. So what can you do? It's expensive to make a whole berry crisp, but if you just buy a small amount, this is a great thing that you can do with them other than eating them fresh. So, all right, well, let's real quick look at what's happening next on Fresh from Maryland. We've got actually only one episode left in our series. We'll pull that up. So next week is our last episode in the Fresh from Maryland series. We will announce plans for future Facebook Lives. So join us at 11 next Thursday, August 12th, for an episode all about peppers. We saw some beautiful peppers growing there on Dicot Farm. And we'll talk about how to shop for, select, and prepare the season's best. If you're watching this live on Facebook, then you obviously know how to find us. Make sure you've liked our page and turned on notifications so you see when we go live. And then here are the other places that you can find us on the internet. All right, so extension.umd.edu/eatsmart is our website. That's where you find all the recipes that we feature here on Fresh from Maryland, and you can search by ingredient, which is a wonderful thing to do this time of year. Our Facebook page is there, and then also our YouTube page where we archive all the episodes of Fresh from Maryland. And that's also where you can find tons of nutrition education lessons. I mentioned edible ABCs. There's a whole playlist of edible ABCs video lessons that are recorded. Those are for really young kids, but we have lessons on gardening for kids who are a little older. There's storybook-based lessons. So great resource there for learning more about nutrition. Okay, let's take one more final look at those beautiful dishes Michelle made today. There's that beautiful fruit salad with jicama and those delicious watermelon pops. Wow, what a summer treat. Great. All right, well, thank you, Michelle. Thank you to Dicot Farm. And thanks to everyone who joined us. So we hope to see you back here next week for the last episode in our Fresh from Maryland series. And in the meantime, get out to the markets, get outside, play, move your body, drink water, and enjoy the rest of summer. Bye-bye.